Well, this is something that people say all the time in Liberia. If they see you exercising, or they see you doing the chores that you're supposed to be doing, or they see you doing anything at all, they'll say, thank you for the work. The same way that they say something when they're eating, to invite you to share. Who remembers what the title was for the food presentation I gave? Yes, sir.
Let's eat.
Let's eat. Yeah. And that let's eat is to invite everybody to share together, because food is a very communal thing in Liberia. You remember that. And a lot of times here in America, we don't get thanked or rewarded for the work that we do. A lot of times it's just what we're supposed to be doing. Maybe nobody notices. If you're really lucky and you do very well in class, Miss Price might give you a Hawkeye. If you carry the groceries in from the car for your mom, she might say, oh, thank you for doing that. But you don't always get thank you. And whatever I was doing in Liberia, even complete strangers, thank you for the work, which is a kind of nice feeling to get. So I'm going to tell you a little bit today about physical activity in Liberia. Before we get started with that, just as a reminder, I spent 1 year as a Peace Corps volunteer in Liberia. It's a West African country. You can see where it is in Africa, the map on the left and on the right. I lived in Kakata, which is a city that's a little bit above the capital city of Monrovia. And that's where I spent my time. I was a 10th grade math teacher, and I was a Peace Corps volunteer. And Peace Corps volunteers are really very important part of the United States relationships that we have with other countries. It's an organization that was started by President Kennedy in 1961, and he looked around at all of these young, college-educated American citizens who wanted to see other parts of the world. And he said, let's see if we can make that happen in a way that will help relationships between the United States and all of these other countries. So Peace Corps has 3 goals. The first one is to send Americans to help teach people in those other countries how to do their jobs. I was a teacher, and I went to Liberia to work as a teacher and to train other Liberians and help them learn how to be better teachers. Other people go to be agriculture farmers and help good farming practices, or small business community development, or health work, whatever that they do, they go and help that. The second goal for Peace Corps is to go and teach people in those countries about America. So in Liberia, they think that all Americans are white. They think that all Americans eat pizza all the time. They don't know what pizza is, but they think we all eat it all the time. They think that all Americans only speak English. They think we all know Kung Fu. They think all of these weird things about Americans that aren't really true because they don't know about Americans. And part of my job as a Peace Corps volunteer, part of my service, was to explain to them, no, not all Americans are white. Some of us are brown, some of us are orange with green stripes, some of us speak English, some of us speak Spanish, some of us speak that weird alien language, right? Some of us like to eat pizza, some of us don't. Some of us are allergic to cheese or bread. So my job was to talk a little bit about what it's like to be an American, and that we don't all look the same. And just because I have dark hair doesn't mean I'm Chinese, weirdly enough. And all of these things, so I educated them. That's the second part of Peace Corps. The third goal that Peace Corps has is what I'm doing right now with you guys, which is after a volunteer does their service, they come back to America, and their job is to explain a little bit about their country to people in America. So before I came to talk to you guys, how many of you knew that Liberia was even a country in the world? A couple people did. Now that I've come and told you about my life in a country in Africa called Liberia, how many of you know that Liberia is a country in Africa? A couple more, good. See, I'm doing my 3rd job as a Peace Corps volunteer right now. So this group is a really amazing way for people to get a chance, Americans to get a chance to travel, to live in these other countries, and it's a really great way to build relationships between our country and all of these other places. And one of the ways that we build these strong relationships, country to country, is by building really strong relationships person to person. So I had great, amazing neighbors that I really miss every day because I don't get to see them. The principal of my school that I worked with was a phenomenal man. And all of these relationships that I built, they let me come into this community with my eyes open. So instead of coming in and saying, well, this is wrong and you need to fix this, so do this, I came in and said, what problems do you have? How can I help you find Liberian solutions to those problems? And that's kind of the way that Peace Corps works around the world. And the way that you build that trust with people to find out what they need and how you can help them really comes from living the exact same way as them. So I was American in Liberia, but I didn't live like an American. I wore Liberian clothes, I ate Liberian food, like, what's Liberian food, do you guys remember? From last presentation, yeah?
I remember you said something that it was cereal-like.
Yeah, so it was like a cassava root, and they pound it, they make fufu, they eat a lot of rice, they eat a lot of dried fish, which wasn't something I thought was delicious before I lived in Liberia, but I loved it while I was there. So we eat the same food as them, we wear the same clothes as them, and we do the same work as them. So if there's chores that need to be done to have a house run in Liberia, I do those chores. And that gave me a lot of respect from my Liberian neighbors. They saw that I could be working and they would say, oh, thank you for the work. And they really thought that it was cool that I was just like them. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the kind of work that they do there. So can somebody read that for me, please? One person volunteering. Thank you. 2 people are volunteering. Yes, so you read for me.
Decision-making regarding one's physical, mental, social, and spiritual health can be improved by using a model to represent relationships.
Is this familiar to you guys? Have you seen that before? Yeah, maybe. Oh, right here. It's your, what's that called? Statement of inquiry. It's the questions that you guys are asking right now about the relationship between food and activity, and how you can make healthy choices for yourself, right, based on the foods and activities that we have here in America. Well, we're going to look at that same idea and some of the decisions and the choices that Liberians make about food. So the first thing is that a lot of the activity, the physical activity that's done every day in Liberia, isn't exercise, it's work. And everybody works, even if you're 4 years old, even if you're 85 years old. Everybody works every day. And you can't exactly say no to a job or say you don't feel like doing your chores that day. Because if you don't do it, then the people who are depending on you to get those things done won't have what they need. So if your job is to walk to the market to buy food for your family, if you feel like not going to the market, is your family going to eat that day? No. If your job is to go to the well to get water and you don't feel like it, is your family going to have anything to drink or clean up with? No. So it's really important that everybody does things. And everything in Liberia takes a little bit more work to do than things here in America. That picture on the right of the lady, you saw that picture in the food presentation, right? What's she doing? Yeah.
She's pounding, because that plant has like a poison and she's pounding to get it out.
She's pounding it to get it out, and you remember what the plant is called? The fufu, yeah. So this is her family's meal for the day. Because in Liberia, how many times do they eat a day?
Once.
1 time a day. This is her family's meal for the day. And in order for her family to eat, she has to wash those roots and grate them up and put them in that mortar and pestle and spend an hour pounding that fufu so that it doesn't poison her family while they eat it. And after that hour, only then is she ready to start cooking. So just eating in Liberia takes a lot more effort. If you want to take a bath in Liberia, do you know what you have to do? You have to use water. Do you know what that takes? It takes this. I'll show you. You have to walk. Maybe you walk for half a mile to the well. Sometimes you have to hike up a hill to get there. And if you're really lucky and your town has a pump, then the well, you just have to pump a lot until your bucket's full, probably about 15 minutes. Not that hard. If you're not very lucky and it's not a pump, you have to put the straw bucket down in the well. You have to draw hand over hand this heavy bucket up and you use it to fill your own bucket. Sometimes you have to do that a couple times until your own bucket is full. And when your own bucket is full, you have to get down and lift it very, very carefully and put it up on top of your head. And then you have to walk the half mile or whatever back to your house. You can't go quickly because then the water will splash everywhere. You have to be very careful about walking. And once you get back to your house, you pour it into the barrel, and then you can get water out for your bath. So even just taking a bath takes a lot of work. What do you have to do to take a bath? Or to take a shower? Okay. That's really easy. Not a lot of work. So everything in Liberia takes effort. Getting food, getting water. How do you guys wash your clothes? You put them in the washer, right? Maybe it's in the garage, you have to walk really far out to the washer machine to put your clothes in, push the button. In Liberia, to wash my clothes, I had to go get water. And then I had to wash in a washboard. You know what a washboard is? Yeah. Yeah. So to wash in a washboard, you have a big bucket of water. You have your washboard, one end down in the water. And then you have to put your clothes in and go scrubbing them like this on the washboard. Then you take it out and you turn it over and you scrub the other side. Then you have to wring it out really, really good. Make sure you get all the water out. You have to shake it out. And then you have to hang it along the line there until it dries. And I'm getting out of breath just talking about it. It's a lot of work. So everything in Liberia takes a lot of effort. And everybody has their jobs to do because everything takes a long time. So kids and teenagers in Liberia have very specific jobs. They have to go draw water from the well, like I showed you. They have to walk to the market to buy and sell things. They also have to walk to get to school. How many of you guys walk to school in the morning? How far do you walk? How long?
Not that far.
Okay, how long do you walk in the morning?
Around 10 or 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minutes, not that far. And it's nice and smooth. Maybe you only have that one big hill right here. Everything's kind of flat. Some of my students walked 2 hours every morning to get to school, and then 2 hours to get home in the afternoon. So pretty far distance to go. And then even if you're not walking really far, you still have stuff that you're doing around the house. Washing clothes, washing dishes, and taking care of children. So you can see on the far right here, these girls are all waiting for their buckets to be filled. On the far left is my neighbor, Feva, and she's taking care of baby Naomi. That was her job for the day. She's about 6 years old, and she's the babysitter for all of the kids who live in the house, the little baby kids. So everybody has work to do. And by about 7th grade, most Liberians also have a full-time job. So you would get up at 5:30 in the morning to do your chores, and then school doesn't start until 1 o'clock. So you would go into the market to sell for 4 hours or 5 hours in the day. Or you would go into the fields to farm. Or if somebody was building a house, you would go and help them make square bricks to build their house with. Whatever your job was. You would then go to school, then you would come home and finish your job, finish your chores, and then you would be up until maybe 10 o'clock at night studying by candlelight. So even as middle schoolers, Liberians are working and contributing to their family's income. Full-time job. This isn't like, oh, I feel like helping my uncle today. No, like actual job. So things are a little bit different there. But not everything in Liberia is all work. Sometimes they can play too. They really, really love soccer. Like their favorite sport in the whole country is soccer. And they also really like to play kickball. You can see in the bottom corner, a little boy there with the blue thing on the string. That's a kite that he made out of a plastic bag. And in the dry season, everybody makes kites and they all go running around and get their kites to fly. And it's so cool, like the coolest thing ever. And every week they have PE class. So you guys have PE, what, 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Twice for a really long time and then just a little bit on Wednesdays. In Liberia, they have PE at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings. So they'll put their PE shirt on and their shorts and they'll go to school at 8 o'clock on a Saturday to do 3 hours of PE. So they do jumping jacks and running, and all kinds of other calisthenics. Sometimes they talk about nutrition, not a lot. And they do their PE 1 day a week, starting in 1st grade. And they also, you can see those guys in the middle there who are playing, they're actually playing rugby. They're on the beach and they're doing a little dance when they're passing the ball. Because the other thing in Liberia is that everybody dances, everywhere. If you're waiting for your well water to be drawn, you're doing a little boogie. If you're washing clothes, you're shaking it a little bit. If you're, whatever you're doing, walking to school, anything, you're dancing. And Miss Pridey, Is dancing exercise?